Hi guys, welcome back to our channel called Tech Concepts with Ume, where we will be talking about the number of technological concepts. In this particular module, like was indicated in the previous video, we will be talking about interacting with relational databases using the SQL language, which stands for Structured Query Language. So in this particular video, we will start our hands-on exercises in a small capacity, howbeit we're going to do a little bit of practice in this video because we will be creating databases with the PostgreSQL software. So like we indicated, PostgreSQL is an object relational database management system that enables users to create robust data stores to support varying application needs. So application needs may relate to databases for banks, to support transaction processing, databases for airline booking system, to support customer bookings, for potential client bookings, or school databases to support storage of potential enrollees or existing enrollees. So in practicing PostgreSQL or how to use PostgreSQL, you can resort to two methods specifically. The first is the PSQL shell. And the PSQL shell is an interface for interacting with the database server, the PostgreSQL database server, using the structured query language. The other option is what we call pgadmin, which is an administrative management console or system that helps us through a simple user interface to create databases, to import data, to manipulate our data, and to carry out queries. Now, with respect to simple user interfaces, there are other options besides pgadmin. Another one being data grep. And then we also have POSTGRES. So you can explore those options. For this module, we will be using the PSQL shell. And the reason we're going to be dwelling on the PSQL shell to learn about PostgreSQL is that we'll be using actual codes to carry out our functions as opposed to the pgadmin option that provides opportunity for clicks, okay, radio buttons, and, simple tasks to perform the functionalities that we hope to achieve. So for this module, we'll be focused on PSQL. PSQL will allow you to understand the logic behind the SQL language, because everything you will be doing will be done through the structured query language code. So that being said, I'm going to navigate to our terminal. I'm using a Mac machine, and so you should be able to determine how to navigate to your terminal if you are using a Mac machine as well. I should also point out that in this video, we're not going to be dwelling on installation. So the assumption with this video is that you have already installed the software. We will deal with installation in a later video. And particularly, we will deal with installation for Windows machines. Because what I have realized is that installation for Mac machines is pretty easy, because there's a package manager that helps with installation of software on Mac machines. It's called Homebrew. So if you have Homebrew installed on your Mac machine, it will be easy for you to install many software or system softwares or application softwares that you may need for your Mac machine. So at a later point, we're going to focus on an installation video for Windows users or the Windows operating system. So that being said, I'm going to navigate to my terminal now so that we can commence our practice. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do with our terminal window opened on a Mac machine is to log into our PostgreSQL environment. So we achieve this with the following command. We're going to use the PSQL keyword. We're going to use the minus symbol. Okay, we're going to use the U character, which stands for user. So we're trying to indicate the user, okay, that will be logging in. In this instance, we have a default user, which is called PostgreS. We're going to repeat that keyword, PostgreS, which will signify the database that we will be logging into. Also, this is a default database that has been created. So here I'm going to say PostgreS again. So we're going to use this command to log in. So I'm going to press the return key, and it's going to prompt me to enter a password. And I am going to enter my password. My password will differ from yours, so keep that in mind. Now, once I enter the password, you'll see that there's a Postgres listing with an equal sign and then a hash symbol, which indicates that we have logged into the PSQL interactive terminal to be able to interface with Postgres. So the first thing that we're going to do is learn a few command words that you should be cognizant of in using the PSQL environment. So the first command word that we're going to learn is the backslash small caps L. And if I press the return key, you will see a listing of databases that exist, that have been created. Now, in this instance, I have created a lot of databases over time. Yours may not look this populated. Not to worry, that's just because you haven't created a lot of databases. Okay, so you will note that we have all of these databases created. And for most of them, the owner is Postgres, right? The encoding standard used is the UTF-8 or Unicode Transformation Format 8. And the collate and C-type columns just specify how sorting will be done. We're not going to dwell on those for now. We're going to leave those alone. So you can see that that's with the L command, very important because it helps you to determine the databases that exist for a particular owner, Postgres in this case. Another thing we're going to do is use another command word, this time \du. And if I press the return key, this command will provide a list or describe a list of users that exist for this database instance. So you will see that we have a number of role names, okay? And with those role names, in the next column, we're able to see what privileges these roles, have. And then the next column indicates if those roles are members of other roles. Okay? Because a role can be a member of another role. The reason we have roles here with our PostgreSQL database and primarily with, most relational databases is that all users are not able to access all data. Some users have more privileges than other users. As such, we need roles to identify what each user is privy to, or the information that each user is privy to. When we talk about, creating roles as a topic of itself, then you're going to understand that concept more. Another command we're going to talk about is the H command. So I'm going to say \H. And what that does is provide a list of SQL syntax that we will be using, in our interaction with our database. So \H, and if I press the return key, you'll see all our SQL syntax. So these are syntax or SQL syntax that you will be using in interacting with the database server. Okay, so there are a lot of them here. So it's up to you to come and familiarize yourself with these syntax and what they do in terms of manipulating data that has been stored. Okay, so we have all of them for altering, for creating tables, for dropping tables, and all of that. Okay, I'm still scrolling because it's taking quite a while. Okay, it's finished. So we have that. We have another help command. This time, not for the SQL syntax, but providing indication of what SQL syntax, lists that we have, but more for the PSQL keywords or commands. So we have a help function for that as well to show us what PSQL commands exist. So if I, entered \, and press the return key, you will see that list as well of PSQL commands. So you should also familiarize yourself with these commands that will help you in dealing with, you know, objects while operating in the PSQL terminal. Okay, so now that we have that covered, at least those are some fundamental commands that you should be cognizant of. So the next thing we're going to do is create a table, not a table, but a database. My apologies for that. We're going to create, sorry about this, our list, okay, it's finished now. We are going to create a simple database. Now, before we create the database, let's use the list keyword again, just so that you can observe that the database we're about to create does not exist. So I'm going to enter backslash small caps L, press the return key, and this is stored in alphabetical order or not. Okay, pretty much in alphabetical order, but our uppercase, letters come before the lower cases. Now, if you scroll, okay, down the list, you will note that we don't have any database termed first store, which is what we are about to create. So if you look at the list, first store does not exist in our list, but that's the name of the database we will be creating. So here I am going to say create. This is the first SQL syntax that we use. Create database. You will note that my command is in uppercase letters. And the reason we do this is we're trying to separate what the key SQL keywords are from our subjective naming conventions for objects and attributes, okay, and relationships. So we want to make that distinction. So when I see all caps, I know that that's a key SQL keyword, okay, or syntax. So here we say create database, and the name of our database is going to be first store. We don't leave spaces when working in the PSQL environments and writing SQL code. So we're going to say first underscore store. And usually we will end with a semicolon. So when I press the return key, I should get an output that reads create database, which indicates that my database has been created. Now, to check that our database titled or called first store has indeed been created, we're going to use the backslash L keyword again. And if I scroll down the list, you will see that first store does indeed exist now, which means we have created that database. So that's just a way of confirming that the database you created indeed exists. So the next thing we're going to do is drop that database. So you may want to drop a database that you have created, which means you are deleting that database. However, I will urge you to be careful with that keyword, drop. Just imagine an instance where you have records that have been stored over years, 5 years, 10 years in a particular database. And with a simple command of drop database, you erase all of that data. That may be a devastating, action for any organization. So you want to be careful about deleting a database. Nonetheless, sometimes you want to free up space within your server environment, and you may need to drop some information, especially when you're not using that information anymore, or that piece or those pieces of information. So to drop our database called first store, we're going to use the drop keyword. So here I am going to say drop database. Again, you will see that it's all in capital letters. Our command is all in capital letters. Like I said, that will help us to distinguish what SQL syntax is from what our naming conventions are in terms of our attributes or our database names and the likes. So here I'm going to say drop database first store, and then end it with a semicolon again. And here you will see I have that output drop database, which means the database has been deleted. Now, if I'm to use the \L keyword again, you will note that we do not have first store in our listing of databases anymore. Okay, so that being said, we're going to stop this video here. Thank you for tuning in. In the next video, we will be recreating our database as well as creating tables within our database, because that is how relational databases store data. So see you in the next video.